this time, YouTube. All right, I am live on YouTube. I got one more, Facebook. All right, live on Facebook. Yeah, we had the webinar this weekend. Jesus, it was long. It was like 4.5 hours. Chock, really full of information that y'all needed to know on how to do it. We even showed you paperwork from the court doing exactly what we said. The difference of doing an affidavit in the public, the difference of doing the affidavit in the private, and the whole nine. Now, at the end of the webinar, I had gotten a question, and the question was dealing with, answering the court, right? And from that question and a couple of others, I knew people really don't understand how to answer. So I said I would expound on the subject because I had to cut that webinar short. I didn't even go through everything because it's impossible to go through all of this stuff. So I said I would expound on it on the show and on the builds this week. So that's what I'm going to do. For everyone who missed the webinar, you're going to be able to buy the webinar from jonahbay.com. I think my son is working on the flyer. And for everyone that was on the webinar who wants a copy, y'all are going to get the copy for $50. And he's going to send you the coupon to buy it for $50 in your email. For everyone else to get a copy of that, it's going to be $400. All right. So we're going to talk about interrogatories. Interrogatories, right? Let me put it in the chat so y'all can follow what I'm going to read to you. All right. Now, and I'm only putting it in the chat in Facebook and Blog Talk Radio. Everyone else in Facebook, YouTube, and Blog Talk Radio, because I'm running the other stuff off of my phone and an iPad, so not conducive for me to put it there. I would have to type it all in, and of course I'm not gonna do that. You feel me? But anyway, interrogatories. A lot of people don't know what interrogatories are. Now it says Wex Law, interrogatory. In civil procedure, an interrogatory is a list of written questions one party sends to another as part of a discovery process. So interrogatories and discovery is damn near the same. The difference is when you're defending a case, like the state is coming against you, it is called discovery. And of course, I got a great writ of discovery based on the Constitution that gets you almost out of any case because they didn't follow the procedures of the Constitution, and we're asking them to give us the stuff that the Constitution says we're supposed to get, right? But when you are the plaintiff, you wouldn't call it a discovery. You would call it interrogatory. You call it interrogatory. So you're going to ask them questions that they need to answer so you can gather facts and information to use against them, right? But let me keep on reading. The recipient must answer in writing under oath. You heard that? Under oath. They got to do it under pains and penalty of oath to answer your discovery or interrogatories. And so many people ask me, oh, well, Jonah, they didn't answer my writ of discovery. I put in a motion to appeal and a motion to dispense. They still didn't answer. They are actors. They're acting as if they don't have to answer. They do have to answer. But what they're going to try to do is to get you to argue. If you argue with them on the facts, then you went into their jurisdiction. You went into their jurisdiction. So now they have subject matter jurisdiction, right? And that's called a joiner. They're trying to get you to do a joiner. This is why I tell y'all, when y'all using my writ of discovery, all you do is just keep on reading the paperwork saying, yo, I ain't got discovery. I can't defend myself without discovery. I ain't got discovery. I can't defend myself without discovery. Be a goddamn parakeet. That's all you have to say. Ain't nothing else. Stop getting consultations with me like, Jonah, what do I do now? Why aren't y'all listening to the shows? Why ain't y'all listening to me saying all you have to do is stick to your discovery and just repeat it? That's it. They will dismiss it because they can't move no further. They don't have jurisdiction. All right, so the recipient must answer in writing under oath and according to the case schedule. Because attorneys may help their clients answer interrogatory response tend to be more finely crafted than answering to deposition questions. Usually, lawyers use interrogatories to obtain detailed information about persons, corporations, facts, witnesses, and identify the locations of records and documents. That's exactly what your discovery or interrogatories is supposed to do. Make them produce information that you will use against them when y'all are in court. They ain't got nothing to hide if they telling the truth. One of the things I like to use is, I believe it's 12 USC 83 that says banks can't loan money. They can't loan credit either. So my interrogatories for discharge would be, can you show me where you deposit the funds that you gave me as a loan? Can you show me a copy of the canceled check or the wire transfer that was used to give me the funds? I make them prove how the funds came. Show me the funds, because I never received no funds. You told me, oh, well, we gave the funds to, like, if it's a house, we gave the funds to the guy that was selling the house on your behalf. Well, show me where the funds came from me to them on my behalf. That means you wrote it on my behalf. Show me. All right. You gave me money for a car loan, right? Show me the money or the check or the transfer you gave the people to pay for the car. And now I owe you. Because for me to owe you, you had to give me money. Now, the funny thing is, in the contracts, it says it gave you money. And you know for a fact, they never gave you money. They never gave you a check or anything or deposit money in one of your accounts or none of that. Show it to me. That is interrogatories. That is discovery, right? So let me go on. Court rules usually limit the number of questions included in an interrogatory. For an example, under Rule 33 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, each party may only ask the other party 25 interrogatory questions, unless the court permits them to ask more. The party may also agree on the number of questions on the interrogatories subject to the court's approval. Now, if you in state court in Georgia, they give you 50 questions. If it's on federal, it's half of that, 25 questions. I suggest you also look up the rules for interrogatories on your state level. You see what I'm saying? But you want to definitely read Rule 33 of Federal Rules of Procedures, so you know you're doing the procedure of asking them questions correctly. Do it by the law, because then they're forced to answer. They're forced to do it by the law as well. Then it says, interrogatories are limited to the parties in certain case. Thus, non-parties are not obligated to respond to interrogatories. Parties should use other discovery devices at their disposal to get information from non-parties, like depositions. You heard? So you would invite a non-party to a deposition, right? Now, let's say you going after a mortgage case, right? And y'all be going after the servicer. The servicer really don't have to answer any questions about how the loan was produced. All they know is they got paperwork showing you owe the money and you got to pay them. They have security interests, right? So if you were to write an affidavit to them saying, yo, you never loaned me money according to 12 U.S.C. 83, they're never going to answer that shit, or they're not going to answer it correctly. They'll send you a copy of the paperwork that they got to show that they got the security interest and where they got the security interest from. That's all they're going to show you. And then they're going to demand their payment, right? So when you go for a house, you would have to go back to the original bank that gave you the so-called loan. The first bank. The very first bank. Now, when you're dealing with a house, let me tell you, before you even get your first payment, because you normally got to make your first mortgage payment 3 months after you bought the house, that note has been transferred 3 times. You're really going to have to go back into your original paperwork to find out exactly who the original bank you dealt with is. Now, you would write it to them, but you should also let the servicer know you have a contract dispute. They're supposed to hold payments until it gets resolved, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that, right? Because they're going to be like, yo, I ain't had no proof that any of that was a fact, so it is what it is, right? But they are responsible as well, because it's called poison of the poisonous fruit, or the poisonous tree, fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. That means when the first person did it, they all responsible. They all capitalized and made money off of the fraud that was done on you from the beginning, right? I know right now I'm prepping y'all for discharge. I told y'all when I had to give you the information on affidavits, I'm really preparing you for discharge, to get everything discharged by law, right? So now I'm just giving you the concepts of what you have to do with the affidavit and interrogatories and stuff like that, so you'll be able to use the proper affidavit. You see what I'm saying? So it is impossible for me to give it to you all in one lesson. Now, in that webinar, I definitely told everyone, and y'all want to Google this, 6 elements of a valid contract. If one of the elements is missing, the contract is invalid. I assure you that every contract y'all have has at least 3, if not 5, sometimes 6 elements that's not there. I'm going to give you one right now. You got to get your original paperwork and look and see if anyone signed it besides you. If you're the only one that signed it, that's not a contract. Don't you know a contract has to have a meeting of the minds? It has to have at least 2 people signature that they agreed, they had an agreement. They're saying that you had an agreement because you signed. You the only name on it. That's not called an agreement. You know what that's called? An affidavit. Affidavit of a straw man. Right? And you turned it into a trust when in that contract or affidavit, you said that they could have security interest. That means you allowed them to create a trust that they could do everything on your behalf. And you get shitted on in the deal. Y'all be like, oh, they defrauded me. How they defraud me if they tricked you into creating a trust and you're the only one with the signature on the trust as the grantor? How they defraud you? How, when they foreclose or repo your car, they use the affidavit you did as the straw man to collect the house or the car. Because that affidavit said, if I don't make these payments, if I default, you can come get the car. You can come get the house. They use your own words against you. And you ain't never even rebutted that affidavit. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in law. You know what that really means? An unrebutted affidavit means they win. Whoever has the affidavit that was never answered wins. That's what that means. And y'all are running around and never rebutting any affidavits because y'all didn't even know how to do affidavits for real. You know, you got an affidavit for if you are 14th Amendment citizen, U.S. corporation citizen, straw man, a nigga with a social. Then you got an affidavit as a real man or woman in the private, in the republic, common law, outside of the United States corporation, under the pains and penalties of United States of America, which means it's a trust. It's outside of this government of 1871. You know what I mean? So y'all got a lot to learn. And this is just a gloss of interrogatories. This is added information onto the actual information that I went over in the webinar this weekend. Now, a lot of y'all really don't know what an oath is. So we're going to look at the word oath. And all you had to do is click it in Wex Law. Wex Law is Cornell Law School. It is an actual encyclopedia on law, by the way. Oath. An oath is a public pledge that a person will perform some action or duty, generally with the promise of doing it so truthfully. An oath can also be used as a way of promising oneself to support a cause or an entity. See, your application, you took an oath to uphold and make the payments and allow them to open up the trust on that matter. You're breaking your oath. The only way to get rid of that contract is to do another affidavit under oath saying it was fraud from the beginning. And it was fraud based on the fact that you got no consideration. Lack of consideration is fraud. And they tricked you from the beginning. They defrauded you. Just in the words. It's words on the contract that said they gave you the money. You never received a check. You never received a transfer. They never gave you no money. They had you lying inside the actual contract. They had you lying inside the actual promissory note to pay back the money. That's misrepresentation. That's fraud. So they got you breaking the oath when you don't make your payments. You know what I mean? You defaulted. So I tell people never default. Take them into court while you're in good standing and bring out the fraud. Because they can't argue with what you're saying if you're not in default. Now they got to show and prove that they actually gave you money. And they can't because they didn't. It's against the law. It's impossible for any bank to give you money. All right. Then it says, an oath can also be used as a way of promising oneself to support a cause or entity. Oaths are often done in the name of a deity, like swearing under God, though this is not always the case. Today's oaths are required in many circumstances. In the legal system, a person must make an oath or affirmation that they will testify truthfully, also called a witness oath. The oath usually includes raising a person's hand and promising the person will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And this is often accompanied by placing a hand on a religious text. Example of this oath for Minnesota no-fault arbitration proceedings can be found on the American Arbitration Association website. Failure to tell the truth after swearing to do so is, if done knowingly, results in a crime of perjury. See? Those who wish to become naturalized citizens of the country are required to take an oath of allegiance and an oath of citizenship in the United States. This is governed by 8 U.S.C. 1448, which states that all applicants must promise to uphold and support the Constitution, renounce any connection to a foreign entity, and swear allegiance to defend the United States. Now, how many of y'all that's been born in the United States have taken an oath to the United States? I know. I'm old. I'm 53. Right? When we was in school, they used to make us do the oath, the Pledge of Allegiance. Right? That's not valid. That's not valid. Kids can't enter a contract. The Baby Act. It's impossible. Anyone who's not 18 or 21 can't enter a contract. So that's not valid. No one else, y'all was born here. They gave y'all a social security card. They gave y'all a birth certificate. Y'all have never been sworn in to take allegiance to this U.S. corporation. Y'all not citizens. Don't you know you can do an affidavit saying, I am not a U.S. citizen. I have never taken an oath of allegiance to the United States or an oath to what? Defend it. And I refuse to. They could never, ever enlist Jonah Bay into a war. That ain't gonna happen. I ain't going to fight for shit. This ain't my country. I'm not fighting for it. I'm gonna hold their ass to the Constitution, but I'm not pledging allegiance to the Constitution to be under the Constitution myself. No. That's for them. They are government employees. They have to take that oath. You see? Y'all never did. All right. With that being said, I went into, I think, enough right now. I'm going to open up the call lines, and I'm going to take some questions and see where y'all at. If y'all like the information tonight on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, hit me with the ones. Hit me with the ones so we could beat this algorithm. All right. Oh, man, there's only one hand up on Blog Talk. This might be a short show, man. I'm hungry anyway. 314-203. Peace to Yahoo.
Peace to Yahoo. Peace to Yahoo. Hey, I attended the webinar, and it was, as always, fire.
Thank you, bro.
It was definitely fire.
Did you learn anything? Was it necessary for you to go to that webinar? Most people felt like they know how to do affidavits. Were you doing the affidavits correctly yourself?
No. I'm gonna tell you, I got confused in the thoughts, and going to the webinar clarified everything, In fact, I got my consultation coming up. I'm just turning in my paperwork with you. I actually got a better understanding of operating with basically public and private side when it comes down to,
Didn't we show you
the affidavit
through
a real person?
Didn't we show you an example of the court itself, a process server doing an affidavit as a real person, as a real man and woman?
Yeah, that was phenomenal right there, because you actually got to see and get it broken down, see what was taking place in the court.
Right.
And that was surreal. That's a surreal moment. I mean, that was a surreal moment, because you come to the realization that it's just what you said. Everything is an affidavit. Everything. Yep. It all is. And it's like that information right there, I don't think you can never lose again. I mean, except for with the crooks and races.
Now, what we do with that knowledge is going to be awesome, bro.
I know.
Everybody out there that's a bank is using affidavits to steal your property and make you make payments. They're using affidavits to rip everyone off. And they're using a weaker affidavit, especially if you know how to do the affidavit as a real man or woman, and you're in the common law, you're in the United States of America jurisdiction, right? Mm-hmm. It trumps the corporate jurisdiction, the municipal, the 14th Amendment, corporations.
Absolutely. You know what else? I see what we learned here has been reinforcing for everything that you taught us. Every single thing that you taught us. It's reinforcing to every single thing that you taught us.
Yeah, all them debts are illusionary. They look like it. They're not real.
Exactly. It's been exposed. And it just made me say, I mean, like,
did you see how they messed with the whole fee, trying to get me not to teach it, but we got around it?
Yeah. I mean, I've been here for a while, over the source is difficult here for just a moment, a few times here and there.
Yeah, people had to restart their computers and all that. We had to keep on switching who was controlling the webinar. Eventually, we got it to smooth out, but they didn't really want y'all to know that information. That's never happened like that before.
It was like in the very beginning. As soon as you said that maggot phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was great. And see, you know, when I talk to you, some of the conversations, stuff like that, I got to tell you something that took place. I didn't need to
Okay.
I didn't want to bring it up on the.
I'm listening.
It's got the testimony, but I don't even know if I can say it on.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I mean, I'm gonna talk to you first. You know,
Okay.
Okay. Peace to you.
Peace. I must have stumped y'all. Y'all must really like the information tonight. I really don't see no questions out here. It's not none on Blog Talk. There's none on Facebook. New comment. Okay, let me see. Yeah, y'all have to call into Blog Talk Radio to get your questions answered. Let me give y'all the number now. The guest calling number is 516-418-5649. Once again, 516-418-5649. Last time. 516-418-5649. And when you call in, press 1 and you'll be in queue so I can answer your questions, right? Let me go back to YouTube, see if there's anything there. It says, what happens if the bank is no longer in business? Listen, if the bank is no longer in business, right? And I'm going to take it, we're talking about a house or a car or something. If it's a house, you go to the original bank. They're not in business, right? But someone bought that debt after that, and they become the one holding the hot potato. They're responsible, right? Because once you prove the fraud, every bank that touched it, everyone that got the assignment, it even says it in your contract, right? In your contract, in your promissory note, in your application, it says that all assigners and assignees are under the same conditions. That's how they're able to come and collect from you and take your property. They get caught holding the hot potato. But see, if I was doing a house, I go for the original bank, and I also name all the other banks under the doctrine of the fruit of the poisonous tree. They are all a party. All them years you've been paying, you know good and damn well every bank that touched it got paid off your security, shitted on you. Yeah, they all are part of it. They're not a third party interloper. Mm-mm. All right. That was a good question. This might be a dumbass question. In doing the real man affidavit, if you signed as an legist, does it negate the real man format to keep it in their jurisdiction? The real man is the power behind the enligist, isn't it? The enligist can't sign anything without the real man, right? So the real man is actually a trustee, right? And then in trust law, the trustee is the one holding the bag. The trustee is the one that got to pay. The trustee is the one that go to jail, right? So when you do it, you claim fraud as the real man, and ain't nothing they can say. It's going to cross jurisdictions because it always crosses jurisdiction. It is the private man that makes everything happen for the public and legists. You can't create a corporation without the private man, a real man or woman, doing paperwork to create that corporation or that trust. This is why you could never meet. In my writ of discovery, when y'all in court, we also talk about where's the affidavit of the real man or woman that we trespassed against or harmed, because I have the right to meet my accuser. That's the problem. Y'all could never meet your accuser called the state of Georgia. It's a corporation, which means if you do my writ of discovery correctly, you will always win because the state of Georgia cannot come before you and show themselves, which is a violation of your due process protections that's written in every constitution. You know what I mean? Like I said, when y'all really comprehend what I'm throwing down to y'all, y'all ain't gonna have no problem with no banks, government, cops, lawsuits, or none of that. Would it matter if we put our own seal on our affidavits? Yes, it matters. A seal is for a corporation. A seal is for you to use with your straw man. So the real man don't have to put his signature on it. It is proper for you to use a seal for the straw. But you don't need a seal. Right? This is why people put UCC 1-308. Makes them know that you know you're not the straw man. And you reserved all your rights as the real man. Right? You can put VIS, VIS, after every signature you're doing for the straw man, VIS. Or you can put TTEE, saying you're the trustee. Let them know when you're doing commerce, you have to separate yourself from that straw. But I can tell you, a lot of times, if you put those things on their contracts, they're going to say they need you to sign over because they can't do what they're trying to do. They can't make the contract go through. They can't make the security work that way. So in all actuality, you have to learn what I'm teaching, sign it regular, and then come back with affidavits and shut that shit down. Because if you try to shut it down from the beginning, if you're trying to get a house, you won't get the house. You're trying to get the car, you won't get the car. You see what I'm saying? Do you need to get the BC authenticated before the travel injunction? No, you don't. I've always told people to do the injunction, the travel injunction first, in case you make any mistakes. So you be on the do not detain list so you can't get locked up for a mistake. I often taught people Originally, that's the first thing I taught people was to do injunction even before uh, authentication. But you can do them both at the same time too. You know what I mean? How do I use my 9.8 to get another 9.8? Okay. All you have to do, a parent corporation or a parent trust gives the same properties onto the new trust or the new corporation. All you have to do as the responsible party for the new one will be the name of your old 9.8. And you would show them the old 9.8 number when it says put down the EIN of the responsible person. That's how. After I file my injunction, do I send it? You said sent. Watch how you're writing your questions, but I know what you mean. After I file my injunction, do I send it to my Secretary of State or Sheriff only? What do you mean file your injunction? Bro, you don't even know how to do the injunction process. Whoever told
90
you,
seconds.
whoever you learning from taught you wrong. Go to jonahbay.com, pick up the injunction webinar, and get a template for your actual injunction. A lot of injunctions y'all getting from people and all that is wrong. I put traps in my paperwork so people can't just use it and steal it from me. So now, if you didn't get it from me because you asked that question,
60 seconds.
that question ain't from my teachings. So I know you got it from somewhere else. Your shit is wrong. Start over. With that being said, that's our show for today. I'll see y'all again Wednesday. But we got a private bill tomorrow. And if you want to be a part of the private bill, shoot me an email at jonahbay@gmail.com. The only thing you should be sending me is an email saying private bill. Don't ask me no fucking questions. I'm not going to answer no fucking questions in no damn email. I only ask the questions on the air in the private
seconds.
bills or consultations. I'm talking to people 5 days a week. I'm not answering no motherfucking questions in my email. So, like I said, if y'all want to be a part of the private bill, you could ask me questions in the private bill tomorrow. You need to send an email to jonahbay@gmail.com. That's all you write in that shit. If you send me a question, not only am I not going to answer it, I'm not going to put you in the private bill either. Because your ass need to follow instructions. Stop being so fucking hard-headed. Anyway, peace to Yahuwah. I'm out.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
I'm live on the gram. Let me work on YouTube.